What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Fourth and 15 with Mel and Smooth. I am Mel, and joining me as always is Ronnie Big Smooth Hennigan. Smooth, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, Mel. Definitely glad to be here to have some football on this weekend, and I'm very excited to be speaking with our guest today, man. Very
All right, you
excited.
already know. You already know. 2-0, baby. 2-0. 2-0. All right. Well, with that being said, since Ronnie brought him up, we like to introduce our guest at this time, the inventor of the selfie. And I say inventor because nobody else was doing this at the time. Sonny Onoo, ladies and gentlemen. Sonny, how are you
Hey,
doing?
how are you guys? Hey, Ronnie, Mel, what's happening?
Not much,
Another
man.
day in
This
the life,
is
sir.
this is yeah, this is great. I'm so excited to have you on. You have no idea.
I don't know. I don't get too
Okay.
excited anymore with a lot of things, but I mean, you guys, where are you guys from? I see
Well,
Pittsburgh. So you're in
actually,
Pennsylvania?
no, believe it or not, we are actually in Ohio. I'm in Cleveland, and Smooth
Mm-hmm.
is in Columbus. So,
Yeah, if I was in Cleveland, I'd be cheering for Steelers too.
Man, absolutely.
Was that hard? Was that so hard? But you guys have Ohio State University, see? So
Oh, see, that's worse.
is it
he's a, he's a,
really?
he's a
Yeah.
Georgia fan. He's a Georgia fan.
Oh,
Don't pay
And I
him no
live in
mind.
Columbus, so it's just bad. It's just all
what
bad.
happened in Georgia? Did Georgia even have a professional football team?
They got the Falcons.
Oh, but I say professional football team.
Yes, professional.
that
Yeah, Atlanta Falcons are a professional team, but I don't
was
follow
Well,
them.
I
great.
know.
That was
Goldberg
great.
should play for them for a little bit.
Oh, that was great. I got to give you
Man.
2 points for execution, man. Okay.
All right.
Before we get into it, Sonny, somebody was supposed to join us. They may not be able to, but I just want to let you know they do know that you're on the show. They know you very well. Uh, I'm looking. And they said they might not be able to make it on. So if she doesn't make it on, Christine Bannon Rodriguez told us to tell you hi
Oh
because
yeah, yeah.
she's got a tournament going on right now, I
Oh
believe.
yeah, virtual
But
tournament or something like that, right?
yeah,
Did you
so
get
she
some
told us
virtual tournament?
she wanted to tell
Okay.
you hi if she couldn't see you in advance. So we were going to stall for time until she got on, but she made
Okay.
it to where let us know, she
Yeah.
might not be able to make it, but she wanted to let you know she knows you're on. She knows you're a part of the show today, so she wanted to tell you hi.
So tell us a little bit about you background. You guys are martial art guys, or what?
Actually, I was a Taekwondo student, ninjutsu student, and a little bit of kickboxing
Okay. Well, I'm sorry on
as
the
a
first
child.
two.
Oh man, wow, that hurt. That hurt.
No,
But
I'm just
I
messing you.
I love it. I love it. But yeah, we actually got requests to cover combat sports, and we all know ISKA and the NSKA are still in circulation. Not as big as the UFC, but we still try to cover all ground. And I
Okay.
remember, uh, actually, this is how I found you. We were talking with Christine,
Hmm.
and your name came across on her friends list and my people you may know list, and I'm like, that can't be him. It can't be because guys like him just don't really, you know, once they don't want to be seen, they don't want to be seen. So I clicked on it and it was you, and I was like, it couldn't hurt to take a chance.
No,
It
not
couldn't
at
hurt.
all. I talk to anybody, even
So
people
we
from
clicked.
Ohio.
And where are you located right now? Like
See,
where's home? I should say.
now I'm gonna bust myself because I live in Iowa.
Oh man,
Oh
Yeah,
land
well,
of
I mean,
the land of
you know
dirt.
what? Let me tell you why I live in Iowa, because nobody's here.
That's true.
I mean, no,
That's
I
true.
mean,
yeah.
That's
honest.
very true.
Yeah, I got an
You
airport
can't.
here about 10 minutes from here. I can get on that thing and get up to Minneapolis or Chicago, then go anywhere in the world. So
Yeah.
it's nice. I'm 10 minutes from everywhere.
That
That's
There's no
awesome.
traffic. I live in a town about 30,000 people. You know, I'm the only
that's
Japanese
awesome.
in probably in the state of Iowa. You know, when they say minority, they show a picture of me.
That's great. That is great. Oh man.
Oh,
Okay, if we can, I'd like to get into humble beginnings for you. What was life like for you growing up? How did you get into martial arts? And did you see yourself sticking with martial arts for as long as you did?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're just like you. You got all martial artists. We're pretty passionate. Once you get involved, and it kind of defines you. It certainly defines me, and it was very interesting. I mean, I because I was born and went to schools of my adolescent years in Japan. Um, just like you guys play little league baseball, we do karate. We do judo, and so it was just part of growing up. Then when I moved here, that's it. This is in the '60s. If you're from Japan, they just kind of first. The second question they asked you was, "Oh, you know any karate?"
man.
That was the second question. It, was- uh, and I never took offense to it or anything. But they just kind of assumed that if you're from Japan, you know, either you're a good gardener or you did martial arts. And since I was a little kid, they just assumed, you know karate, and it's something he's taught in the school, like I said in Japan. So, and I continued to study, and I studied with people like Chuck Merriman and Heidi Ochai and a student of Peter Urban, Gary Johnson, and I just continue in my martial arts, and being competitive person. Uh, uh, I got involved in competition aspect of martial arts. So yeah, and I had dojo. Nothing like being able to make living was you something you're passionate about. So just like Christine that we just mentioned, Christine Bannon, and many of our dear friends at the Trans World Oil Team, we all still many of us still runs karate dojo and make living at it. I mean,
Right.
it's like getting paid for eating.
Yeah.
And we're very fortunate that we can do that.
Right. Um, I just remember like 1995 because we're gonna fast forward because
Okay.
actually yeah, we're gonna fast forward to 1995. We see you in WCW for the first. Well, I see you in WCW for the first time, and you're with Team Japan. I believe it was Starcade. That's the only pay per view they run in December.
Yeah.
Um, we see you managing Team Japan. First, how did you even get into professional wrestling? What was the catalyst for you to get started with professional wrestling?
Well, catalyst would be the martial arts. There was a guy named by Eric Bischoff who ran WCW. Um, Backing up to 70s, on our early 20s, we were traveling all over the United States, going to a karate tournament. He lived up in Minneapolis, and I'm about 100 miles south of him in Iowa. And I would go up there and train because I was looking for somebody to compete with. And we would get in a van and travel to Atlanta, Battle of Atlanta, New England, New York, California. You know, we were looking for competition and the girls. When you're in the early 20s, that those are about the two things you want to do: and fight and find girls and party. So that's what we did. It was way for me to um, travel and fight people and not get in trouble. Not we didn't get arrested and go to jail, but because that would happen if you get in fight all the time. So, but it was fun thing for us to do,
Mhm.
and so and through that, I, you know I befriended, like I said, Eric Bischoff, and many years later, and early '90s, he actually I should back it up even a little bit more. That I created this game called Ninja Star Wars. It was a little Velcro stars that we throw around. It's kind of low tech laser tag for kids to play in the karate classes, and it had a Velcro vest, and we had a Velcro stars that you throw at each other, and we could, we created a game. I created that game, and Eric saw it. Eric says, "We got to get this on TV." And what happened was he went on to shoot a commercial, and then we went to we said we got to get this on national television, and he knew only way we could do that was to go up to Minneapolis to AWA where Vern Gagne and All Star Wrestling was going on, and they had a syndicated show on a national TV, ESPN I think it was, and we could get a commercial on because they would trade off the commercial time for the content. And we made a deal with them, and we put that game. But during that process, Eric got hired by Vern Gagne and AWA as a salesperson and announcer. And then rest is kind of history because that's how he got in the wrestling business. Of course, later on, he went on to WCW, and he called me up one day and says, "Hey, I need I need your help going to Japan and working with New Japan Pro Wrestling and kind of repair the relationship the prior management had an issue with." And that's how I got in the business. And next thing you knew, I was managing the Japanese wrestlers, and of course, none of them spoke English, so it was just no brainer for me to be the rich Japanese. Because at that time, this was before the bubble, so Japanese was in this country trying to buy hotels and the golf courses, and and so I play that character. I play myself and that character.
Yeah, because I remember Tony Schiavone. Every time you were on TV, Tony Schiavone used to always say you were Bobby the Brain Heenan's favorite business partner.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I think Bobby sold me the first hour of a Saturday night main event TV show, and I was putting all the Japanese wrestler on the first half of the show, and I'll tell you a real funny story. We did a pay-per-view called Hog Wild in Sturgis, and we went to the Mount Rushmore Monument, and we shot a piece there where Colonel Parker was trying to sell me the Mount Rushmore. And while we were taping that thing, the tourists that was walking by there, thought that it was real that I was trying to buy Mount Rushmore because I wanted to put Japanese people's face on, and I would say things, Yamamoto, a great war hero from Japan, would look really good right there, right next to that big nose fellow over there. What's his name? Washington. It would say things like that, and people were like, people getting mad at me, and you can't buy that. This and that. No, I'm buying it. And I would argue with
I
the
wish I
tourists
could have
and
been a
stuff.
fly on the wall on that one.
Oh, it was funny as heck. It was fun. We had a great time.
Speaking of Eric Bischoff,
Yeah.
Sonny, because you had kind of went into one of the questions that I had, speaking about like how you met him and how you got to WCW. I wanted to kind of just ask real quick too, with regards to Eric, do you still keep in contact with him?
Yeah, I talk to him all the time. I mean, he's like me. He lives in Montana, right by the national park there. No, I'm sorry. He lives in Cody, Wyoming, and right. And he has amazing view from his house. It's almost picture. I mean, it is picturesque. I mean, he's got two mountain lake that goes on forever, and yeah, he lives a life. But I talk to him. We stay in touch. He's a dear friend, and he could have been a top 10 fighters back in the days, but the problem, a great fighter. Actually, he fought on the ESPN and CBS and stuff. On a semi-contact. Yeah. And he was pretty successful. His problem in the tournament fighting, when it came to tournament fighting, was that, you remember back in the days, you could sweep the leg and you have like 3 seconds to score on the ground before the referee called it a halt. And Eric was a wrestler, a collegiate wrestler, and he blew out his knee. That's why he got into martial art. And so he was really good about cross body sweeping people and taking out the guy's front leg. And he fought right side forward. Sounds like a karate guy, right? I know what side people fight forward. He's right-handed, but he had a real good left punch. And he would take his right leg and sweep your front leg, and he was real, kind of take your leg check you and real good reverse punch. But a lot of time when a guy went down, you have 3 seconds to score. And Eric would, a lot of time when a guy went down, he was good about, stomping somebody instead of punching him and stuff. And he got DQ'd a lot. he got DQ more than he needed to be. I mean, he was just a tough guy too,
I could see that. That. Okay, you got to manage guys like Jushin Thunder Liger, Ultimo Dragon, who was my personal favorite.
Me too.
What was it like to know that you were the manager of basically the best J Crown wrestlers at the time? Because, when you think of managers in the professional wrestling world, you hear Bobby the Brain Heenan a lot, Sherry Martel,
Sure.
rest their soul, but you
Absolutely.
don't hear you a lot. And I think they don't give you enough credit because you managed some of the best of the best. So to me, I'd like to know, what was your favorite part of being a manager?
Well, if, as a fan, you get to be ringside. You get to see everything, right up front. And these guys are such an athlete, especially the cruiserweights, right? They were out there. The thing about cruiserweight was that you didn't need a storyline. You wanted to watch, even Rey Mysterio versus Ultimo Dragon, Dean Malenko versus, Eddie Guerrero. You didn't need a story. If somebody's just mentioned their name, you wanted to watch it, because professional wrestling is so, should I say, story driven, but when you're doing a 3-hour Nitro, you not all the matches can be a story oriented.
Right.
But you can bet bottom dollar if somebody says, hey, Eddie Guerrero going to wrestle Ultimo Dragon, people are going to tune into that.
Oh yeah.
You didn't need any stories because you were going to get some, amazing wrestling. And so I was very fortunate, and also I like to mention that the women wrestling now is in the forefront right now. In the last few years, they're getting their dues finally. You got somebody like Asuka and WWE and right now some of the women champions, of course, are from Japan. But you got to remember, those women are product of guys like Akira Hokuto, who was women WCW champion. Bo Nakano, Chigusa Nagayo. Those are the people that we actually brought to United States 25 years ago.
Wow.
Talk about being ahead of their time. So and they were by far. Oh yeah. Yep. And so I just got back yesterday from doing an episode of Dark Side of Wrestling, and we were talking about North Korea, and Akira Hokuto fell in love with Kensuke Sasaki in North Korea. That was a love story that came out of that a lot, likely nobody even talked about. So but I'm telling you, man, and she is right now. I did a TV show with her about 8 months ago in Tokyo, for Fuji Television. You know, she's known as top television talent. And a lot of people in Japan right now don't even know she used to wrestle. Well, she was a top female wrestler.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's really
But
interesting.
25 years ago, she bashed him by the head in with a kick.
Oh yeah, I would not want. I mean, let me tell you something. None of us wanted to go in the ring with those women because they were so stiff. I mean, you know, there's no faking when somebody driving, jumping off the top turnbuckle, double stomping your chest or your gut. There's no taking it easy on that. You know, it's gravity.
Right.
You know, I mean, they were amazing things they did. They were so, when they smack each other, they don't smack each other. I mean, they lay into it. You know,
Oh, I know.
they
I know.
they were constantly wanted to prove that they were better, as any guys out there.
Right.
Now, speaking of some of the wrestlers that you were mentioning, even with them, and then also while you were managing in WCW, did you have a favorite at all that you managed? Or you were like, "Hey, I'm just here for the ride. Like, this is awesome." Was
No,
there
I
a
mean,
favorite?
yeah, I mean, just think about it. Think about it in terms. I'm very fortunate, right? I got
Mm.
Masa Saito, I got Jushin Thunder Liger, I got Kanemoto, who's still, Masa passed away, but Jushin Thunder Liger just retired.
Yeah, and that was
Ultimo Dragon is
heartbreaking.
still wrestling at the Dragon Gate in Japan. Kanemoto is
Really?
still wrestling. Otani is the president of Zero One promotion in Japan. um, Yuji Nagata, who I manage,
Ugh.
he's still with New Japan Pro Wrestling. He's still wrestling, and it's
Why'd you have
amazing.
to bring him up, man? I hated him. I'm gonna apologize right now. I really am. I'm gonna apologize right now for hating you. I'm not even gonna say for 25 years. I'll give you 5 good years that I hated you
What did?
because you brought Yuji Nagata, man. Dragon was on a tear in WCW.
Dragon
Right.
He
was
was on a
killing it, man.
tear. He won the cruiserweight, won the TV belt. Y'all had y'all falling out storyline wise, and then
Right.
all of a sudden, here come Yuji Nagata and bust up his elbow, bust up his nose. I'm like, man, come on.
Yeah,
And you had to hate Yuji because he was such a great technical wrestler. And that was
yeah,
the best part of me hating not only just you, but hating somebody that could actually take him down effortlessly.
yeah.
And I gotta apologize.
Yuji is a collegiate wrestler. Well, clearly, we did our job, and it's
Mm.
to tug on your emotion, whether you love us or hate us. That's part of our job. You know, it's interesting because going back talking about North Korea, and went to North Korea was Muhammad Ali, and one of the things that he told us that he learned so much from professional wrestling, how he uh, he learned how to do the promo from watching Gorgeous George, and he said it didn't matter to him. He understood the business. It didn't matter whether you come to cheer him or hate him, you know, hoping that he will lose or hoping that he will win. It didn't matter what side of the fence you were, as long as you were coming to watch him.
Mm.
Right.
You know, and Ali told us that he learned that from professional wrestling. And long as we can tug on your emotion, we're doing our job. So
Yeah. Yeah. Because that was the part that hurt the most. 'Cause, like, you know, I remember, like I said, watching you as a kid. Remember they zoomed. I think it was either Hog Wild or a Nitro. They zoomed in on you. No, it was Starcade when Liger had beat up Rey Mysterio. They zoomed in on you, and you said the best line any manager has said within the last 30 years, and that was Japanese wrestler always better than American wrestler. And I lost it. I lost it. I'm not even going to tell you I didn't. I sat there, watched that match, and as a Liger fan, I love Rey Mysterio, but Liger was the stepping stone. Like, he was the one that started it. So watching that match, I'm like, all right, this should be entertaining. And then when they zoomed in on you and you were like, yeah, Japanese wrestler better than any American wrestler, I was like, Ray about to get beat on.
Yep,
And
you
sure
already knew it
enough,
was coming.
and sure enough, he got beat on that whole match. Like it's just cool to see that like you made you back then for us, you made managers cool to watch again because after Bobby went to commentary,
Yeah.
Sherry had Harlem Heat at the time or was getting over the Harlem Heat thing.
Yeah.
You really didn't have too many managers that were like involved with not only their wrestlers, but like, you know, the commentary. And you weren't even on the commentary table and you just hear stuff like, yeah, you sold Sonny Onoo something you didn't even own. And like, how do you just get part of the show even more? Like you were that guy for everybody to watch, even though they hated watching you.
Yeah, that was part of my job. So clearly, I'm glad to hear that I was doing my job correctly. I mean, it's fun, and even now, like WWE and AEW is starting to bring a lot of the old timer back. Like Arn is managing, and Jake the Snake is back and doing some managing. There is a place for it. There's many American wrestlers, English speaking wrestlers right now can't cut a promo. Brock,
Right.
you know, um, 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 having Heyman for Brock was just amazingly perfect for it because, he
Right.
played the monster that he is. And you really don't want to listen to him talk because he would, you know what I mean? It's better him being that monster and having somebody
Right.
who has a great, advocate like Heyman is perfect. And I had a Twitter. Some guy asked me today, would I consider managing Nakamura or Asuka for WWE? And and
I
and
would love that.
absolutely, because let me tell you why. Because what happened to international talent? I'm not particularly, uh, not necessarily just the Japanese, but any international talent. If you can't communicate, because professional wrestling in the United States is so story driven,
Mhm.
it's very hard. It's like watching a silent movie, right? You can have
Right.
how can you have adversarial storyline if one of the a partner or your adversary don't speak English or can't communicate, you know?
Right.
So it makes it hard for both of them because one side cannot communicate, other side only communicates and even demeans the other person who can't understand or certainly fan can't. You can't make that story work. It hurts both sides. You know, even the baby
Right.
face. Let's say baby face is an English speaking person. It, if you the one who only one's talking, it's hard to be a baby face.
Right.
Because if you're the only one who can communicate, then how are you gonna be a baby face? You if you because you have nothing to come back to, therefore you become kind of like a bully because you the one
Right.
who can only speak, another person can't. So that's very hard for writers and to continue the storyline.
Vince, if you're watching, sign Sonny. Just, even if it's for a season, just sign him. Let him manage Oscar. Let him manage Nakamura. Let's get this going, man. I'd kill for that,
I would love to see that right now.
man. Just I would love for that just to hear him say Japanese wrestlers are so much better than American wrestlers one more time. Just one
Yes.
more time. Um, okay, now for those that are watching, a lot of people don't know this, and I probably am giving away a secret that we probably didn't already know, whatever the case is. But the NWO originated in Japan because it was an idea that they got from a group called CTU back in New Japan, and you were the manager of that. How did that come about? Because for
Well,
those that don't know, that was a catalyst for you to be like the really evil manager at times.
what really happened was that the idea, I mean, I was new to the certainly anything in professional wrestling in general. And I was talking to Eric one day. It's too bad that you cannot have WWF versus WCW, because that was kind of story that they were doing in Japan. New Japan
Hmm.
competing with other company. You know what I mean? I mean that's the base of the storyline, the invasion angle, and
Right.
and it wasn't. I'm not taking credit for it, but I think Eric kind of saw some of the stuff they were doing over there, and and like I said, and Eric is the first one to tell you, perception is reality. And perception was you take two of the big stars from WWE to come over here and start messing around in our arenas, and thus made it look like there was invasion happening from New York at WWF, and that was a perception. We never said it, but that was the premises of for the NWO. And
Right.
and let me tell you how big the NWO was.
Man.
Forget about just how big it was. It was probably the biggest angle in history of professional wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
But let me tell you, when we did an NWO Japan, um, when I was managing Chono, Masahiro Chono, and Chono, um, that's not me snoring. That's my dog snoring down here. If you can hear my dog, I have a couple of bulldog down here, just really snoring. But Chono double crossed me and joined the NWO.
Right. I remember
So
that.
I brought okay, to avenge my honor. I said, okay, I'm going to bring Great Muda. So I brought Great Muda the next week,
Man.
and Great Muda double crossed me, gave me the green mist, and that's created the NWO Japan, and they were the Hall and Nash of Japan.
Right.
And in
Because at that time, that was
1995, no, 1998, in Japan, they sold $7 million worth of NWO T-shirt.
wow.
7 million worth of a shirt.
Yeah,
Wow.
that was
Just
I
off of those,
I
just
just
off of that angle by itself, man,
that, the black T-shirt that
that's
says
crazy.
NWO. That's
I,
how much that year they sold that much T-shirt. That's what was the gross revenue from that year.
Romel, a
Wow.
shirt, dog, a shirt. Like
Yeah,
I get it, bro. I get it.
I
Like,
can't I can't wrap my head around. I mean, NWO is huge, right? We're not gonna deny that. I mean, it was something everybody like with that, and then when the Wolfpack came, like NWO was huge, right?
yeah.
But a shirt, like a shirt, I,
Well, let me tell you this. Even today, Chono has a men's clothing line, and he actually licensed NWO, and he still sells NWO goods in his store in Ginza in Japan, in Tokyo.
nice.
So
Nice.
that kind.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around Muda turning on you because I was like, when you watch Muda's matches, you want to trust him, but then that's that part of you is just like, yeah, I got to keep my eye on you because you just,
Yeah,
he was to me, he was Macho Man of Japan because he was so unpredictable. You
mm,
right.
know, his style was so, I don't care how you take it, but you're going to take this whooping and we're going to keep it moving. So,
What
yeah. Did you
20,
ever give him
20.
a call about that?
Well, I did talk to him for a long time after that, but I manage him now. I manage him now in the United States. He was on an AEW show way back in Baltimore. He kind of made a Keiji Muto, who is the real. He's also a wrestler. There's two entity right there. There's Great Muta, played by Keiji Muto. Keiji Muto made a cameo on AEW in Baltimore last year, and we did an autograph signing there, and we did a talk show Q&A session on Starcast, Conrad Thompson Starcast, and we did that.
Right.
And so I represent him now. Whenever he comes to the United States, I represent him. I manage
That's
him.
cool.
But yeah, but it's a good thing that we have to, we have now the face shield. Because every time I manage, I'm gonna wear the fucking. Excuse me, I didn't mean to use that word.
Oh no, we don't mind.
It's all right.
That's the best part of the show, man.
So next time, I'm glad the face shield is happening because I'm gonna wear the face shield whenever I manage Muda from now on.
That's great. That is awesome.
All right.
Now you being a manager, you got to manage Bull Nakano, Dragon, Chono, and Muda. Did you have any real favorites that like you just knew you were gonna have a good time working with out of all the people that you managed?
It's really interesting because it was a two different thing. When I managed the Japanese and even some of the luchadors, I manage, the Damien, I manage Psychosis, La Parca, the chairman, a lot of the Mexicans, El Dandy, and one of the things that was great was that I was their mouthpiece, right? Because even if you can speak English, right? Even if you're from Japan or Mexico, you can speak English. It's very hard to do a promo in English if you're not very fluent. You know what I mean? It's no different than when you call a customer service and the guy's in India somewhere and he goes, "May I help you?" Oh, I feel like you're talking to somebody from 7-Eleven, right? So don't mean to be disrespectful, hardworking people, but you know what I mean? And listen, I'm going to tell you this because English is my second language as well.
Yeah.
So
Right.
when somebody speak to me in broken English, or somebody from Alabama, no disrespect to Conrad Thompson, but I have to go, say it again, slower. You know what I mean? I mean, it's very difficult because when they have such an accent with English, I have a hard time understanding. And just like
Right.
you, when you get that other guy on the customer service, you know how it gets frustrating. I know he's trying to speak English to me, but it's so broken that I get frustrated. I end up going, "Hey, can you give me a supervisor?" Right? And that's the same thing to a wrestling fan as well. If you can't articulate and you can't if you have such an accent that it's so heavy that you can't understand them, they get frustrated. And once they get frustrated, it's over. You know what I mean? You can't
Right.
can't get that back. So it's important for them to have somebody who can articulate. Now, to answer your question, the most fun I had in WCW was managing Ernest Miller. Ernest the Cat Miller, because I never spoke for him. I didn't need to. You know, you know what I mean? Because his mouth was going 80 miles an hour all the time anyway. That was calling his mama or whatever he was. And the thing about Ernest, because Ernest is in martial arts, his background's in martial arts. He still fights to this
Right.
day.
Yeah.
And
Really?
so our background is in martial arts. And so I had more fun with Ernest because my thing with Ernest was now I wasn't no longer his mouthpiece. I was his sidekick, right? Ernest lost more matches than won by far, but he was always over. Nobody really cared nobody remember he won or lost half the time.
Yeah, true.
But he
Very
was
true.
entertaining. The man was entertaining as heck. And he did the James Brown thing and
That was the greatest.
yeah, and so we had so much fun. I played it was Jackie Chan, what was his name? Bobby Tucker? No, Bobby. What was the TV?
Chris Tucker.
Chris Tucker. Chris
Oh
Tucker.
yeah, Chris.
That was kind of like our thing, right?
Right.
One day we did on a Saturday night TV taping, and Ernest has lost a match at Nitro, so I was really and it was because of me he lost the match, right? He was trying to protect me, or I did something wrong, or something. That was basically where we were going. And I came up to apologize, Ernest. I'm sorry what happened last night, but tonight I have a surprise for you. And he said, "What, Sonny?" He was kind of a little mad at me, and I said, "Hey, I got a surprise for you today. Guess who I got? He said, who am I fighting? No, you're not fighting nobody. I said, I got you Prince. You know, the Purple Rain. Prince. He goes, what? Prince. I said, yeah, man, Prince.
I think I remember this one.
And it was Prince Ikea.
Yeah, I remember that.
So,
Because he had just changed his gimmick.
yeah, me making a mistake of, I said, got Prince. So I'm thinking, lost in translation, right? So I'm like, I'm making, and we started singing in the ring, I started singing Purple Rain in a ring, in a ring. And that's when they hit the music. Prince Ikea came and match started.
Man, I remember that because he had just changed his gimmick.
So week after that, I go, man, I'm sorry about the confusion. But for sure tonight, I have Al Green. We had a guy named Wrestler. He was kind of heavy set guy, journeyman. His name was Al Green. So we have Al Green tonight, And so then I started singing one of his songs, and of course, So we weren't. But what was great about Saturday night was they would let us do things on our own. We come up with the stuff and we could do things. But Ernest and I had so much fun, and one of the since you guys into martial arts, I'm gonna give you this. I'll send you a link after we're done here. But they're casting right now for Karate Kids of Atlanta. I don't know if I sent it to you yet or not, but their casting just started a couple days ago. I think it goes from age 13 to 18 or something like that. There's a new show. We're taping. Ernest is he teaches karate. It's a reality TV show, and of course I'm Ernest's instructor. So I'm gonna have all these kids doing wax on, wax off. I'm gonna get all my car shined up. But so I'm gonna be playing, Ernest's instructor, and it's gonna be fun. That's gonna be on a major cable network in the United States.
I'm gonna look forward to that, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna check that out.
Sure.
Okay, the question everybody's been wondering, and we've wanted to know this for a long time too. How did you come up with the selfie before, like during all the wrestlers' entrances?
Well, it was kind of a time Japanese are known for, right? I mean, I don't mean to be stereotyping, but because the Japanese tourists, if it's always got a camera around their neck and they're always taking pictures, that was kind of like a stereotypical of Japanese. When they came to the United States, they were always taking pictures. So and I wanted to memorialize, but I can't have a photographer there. So I said, I'm gonna take this Japanese technology of 35 millimeter wind up Fuji camera, the green one, and I would say, hey, come over here. We're at Nitro. We're at WCW. So I would snap a picture, and and did that. And I wasn't, this is before the selfie was called selfies.
Right.
True.
Now that once everybody got these, these phones, now you walk around with a camera. So now everybody does selfie, but that was just something that developed from that character I was playing, And matter of fact, I have all those pictures all those selfies that I took, and somebody says, hey, you should make a coffee table book.
Yeah, you should. Because like my favorite ones were always with the luchadors. I don't know why, because you come out with the dragon would just do the stiff pose. Yeah,
right.
Okay. And then when the luchadors come out, they look excited as you are. And I just be like, man, that's got to be the funniest thing ever. But that actually took off with you, because from then on, anybody you managed, whether it was the male wrestler or a female wrestler, you had a selfie, and it was awesome.
Yeah, that was my bet.
And like I said, I call you the inventor because nobody else was doing that, especially here in the U.S. I can't prove for everywhere else, but here in the U.S., no other manager was doing that with his wrestlers.
Well, let's put it this way, though. Let's put it this way. I'm sure the first guy who invented a camera probably did a selfie. Okay. But I was the only person that was actually doing it on television every week.
Yeah,
Every
you
time I made
were.
it, so I'm not an inventor, but I was certainly the innovator and made it the thing, before he was called the selfies.
Right.
It's funny you mentioned that because
That
like
that's
I remember being one of those kids that used to like see stuff on TV and try to imitate a little bit. And I remember you doing that, and we had, everybody had a little 35 millimeter camera back in the
Right,
day.
right.
We were doing the 1 hour photo and all that, and it
Yeah.
was just crazy because I remember trying to do that, and my mom is just like, "No, you're gonna waste it. I'm gonna get your forehead all up in the picture, or just like your nose, or inside of your mouth, or something like that. Like you're not doing that." It was almost like it was shut down because we couldn't see what it would come out as. But I was like, Mom, I just saw it on WCW. I was watching Nitro Monday night. You know what I mean? Like, I want to do that too. Or whatever. No, it just wasn't happening because she's like, if I pay $10 for that disposable camera,
Right, right.
I better be able to see every single picture
Right. Don't be
on
wasting
that
it.
camera. Right? Don't be wasting that film. You know what I
You
mean?
know, I was
Oh
such
my
a
goodness.
I played the hero character so much that we'd be like I'd be literally walking in Piers in LA Piers,
Hmm.
and people would be trying to take a picture, right? Back in the days. So I go, hey, so I go up to few, hey, let me take a picture of you two. Go ahead, I'll take a picture of you, and I would take a picture, and I would always cut off their head. But they didn't they didn't have these phones so you can look at it right away, right? You know what I mean? They would have to wait till he gets
oh
them back.
man.
So I will always cut off people's head. I must take it hundreds
Oh,
of
that's
take a picture, and I will always cut off their head. When they go home and got it developed, and they go that mother, and they'll know it's me.
Hey, but that
uh
could be something they could coin and be like, hey, this is the Sonny Onoo picture
yes.
right here. You know what I mean? Like, I have
Yeah.
proof that he did it.
We actually got a comment. The Fire says you were her favorite heel manager with a heart. So you got some love, man. That was
I'm appreciative. Listen, if you couldn't tell that we were having fun, I was just talking to Ernest, the cat, and I said, and I do a podcast uh, 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 with Stevie Ray, the part of Harlem Heat. We call
shout
our
out to
segment,
Stevie.
yeah, we call our thing Tokyo Heat, and he's a big Godzilla fan, and and we were talking about we have because they become your family when you're on the road. We're together 260 days a year, and what you guys saw us on television is we had fun. We were literally having fun, and that's what we saw. I mean, so I think that came through whenever we were doing whatever we were doing. Whether we were watching, doing an interview. I miss Gene Oakland a lot. Gene, Bobby Heenan, Jimmy Hart. Those guys helped me become, this green kid that was starting out to be a wrestling manager because I didn't know the business. Um, so they say, hey, just be yourself. You're a heel. You do this. You do that. Just simple things like, listen, you want to be on that side because the hard camera's over here. They taught me stuff like that, right? You know, because job of a manager is giving you wrestler what they call fade the heat. Don't you don't you can you, like Ernest. When Ernest lost, he never really lost because he did something wrong. Usually it's because I try to help him and screwed him. You know what I mean? By accident. Stuff like that. Those are the things that they teach you as a being a manager. But we had so much fun doing what we were doing, you know. And I think that came through was what we did.
Right. I could see that too because my next question was going to be when you were managing Ernest, did you teach him the shuffle or did he figure that out on his own? Because that looked like a little bit of you in there every
Say
time he
again?
went and do the shuffle. I said,
Oh,
did you teach
oh,
Ernest the shuffle?
No. Ernest, that man can dance. I mean, he's a great athlete, you know, and yeah, Ernest did all that, you know. Then later on, he got, you know, he had legendary, um, you know, people that came on television, you know, and I'm not sure where he got the red shoes from. You know, we had these red shoes. He was, um, you know. So, but all that stuff was
Hey
fun.
man, real talk, them red shoes was hot though.
Yeah,
Them red shoes was hot. If we can get Ernest on, we gotta ask him about that because them shoes was hot. The shoes and the
yeah,
cake.
yeah. And I can hook you up. I talked to Ernest. I talked to Ernest like an hour ago. So yeah, we talk to each other all the time.
Man, this has been a hell of a ride.
Yes, it
Oh,
has.
you were also in Fearless Tiger, which was a movie with both Young and Jalal Merhi. Hope I got that
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Um, what was that like? Because
Well,
if I'm not mistaken, you were Pang.
yeah. I played the Chinese policeman, the always chewing bubble gums, um, and you know it was low budget. One of the first movie Jalal Marie Film One production. It was shot in Toronto, and you know what we did was we just went out and got casting. We went out and got John Fournette, who went on to become a great stunt coordinator, fight coordinator.
Right.
Um, um, I had my instructor Chuck Merriman was a referee on one of the shots. You know, I had a bunch of my friends on there, so um, so it was great being able to do that. Once again, we're not making a lot of money on those movies, so get our friends in there because we knew all my friends could fight. You know, um, so we had them on there and we had a great time. Fight scene was
Oh,
real because I remember John Fournette said we were doing because they didn't have a stunt guys, right? They had a
Mhm.
bunch of guys from karate schools playing bad guys.
right.
So it's 4 o'clock in the morning. We're trying to get this fight scene in the alleyway shot, and everybody's getting tired. And we did about 4 take because they wouldn't. Stunt people know if you kick him here, they can react because the camera will sell that for you, right? But you have to time it. Karate guys don't they don't sell the punches, right? They pretend like they didn't get hit. So I tap him here, and he wouldn't sell it. After about 6 takes, John Fournette comes over and whispers in my ear and goes, "Hey, we can't do this anymore." I said, "Okay, what do you want me to do?" He said, "Go ahead and kick him in the head." So I sidekicked this poor kid in the head. I busted up his nose, and blood went everywhere, and I said, "Cut, perfect." Okay, poor kid,
You gotta do what you gotta do to get the shot, man.
poor kid.
Right, right, right.
I, hey, that was great. Oh shoot, it was sitting over here somewhere.
I, I mean, you that's what because we had Akeem Austin on also a couple
Oh
months back, and he said the same thing. You got to do what you got to do, and
yeah,
I can see you busting up somebody's nose, man.
I
That's
mean,
just crazy.
yeah.
Now, what is life like for you now outside of well semi wrestling retirement and being a martial arts teacher?
Well, before this COVID thing, well, I retired because I gave my karate school to my student when I went in wrestling. Because I wasn't home, I was just on the road. So my students still have school here in town. Runs traditional Okinawan dojo, and for me, before this COVID thing, I was doing a lot of autograph signing, personal appearance, independent shows, and I managed Ultimo Dragon. We would probably do about 10 shows a year together, you know,
Nice.
and along with other guys that I manage. Then I would go to Japan and do some, I still do some consultant work, and I work for a company called Fight TV. That's FITE, and it's an app you can get on your phone. That's the best way to see it. It's on demand. There's a lot of free content on there about kick everything from anything to do with martial arts on there. You know, kickboxing, bare knuckle boxing, UFC, professional wrestling, and that's all on there. A lot of stuff are free, like I said, but some stuff are pay per view. I do. I work with a company called Pro Wrestling Noah. I'm doing a pay per view tomorrow night for them. It's a live show out of Japan, and I'll be doing color commentary in English, along with Rob Hockman, who used to be, who did a voice play by play for New York Giants football, and they don't look
Wow.
too good today
Oh.
either. But anyway,
That's the Giants. Who cares?
well, Vikings not good either. They look horrible too. They're all on 2 too.
Hey,
But
hey,
so so I and then I think on Thursday, no, I'm sorry, on the 27th, I do another pay per view, DDT Pro Wrestling out of Japan, and technology is amazing. It's a live show that is happening in Japan, streamed here, and we do the voice. We do the voiceover right on. It's not even voiceover because we're doing it actually as it happens. Do it right here on a computer, like I'm speaking to you live. So it's pretty cool. The technology is amazing, and so I do that. It's a good little side gig, and keeps me in beers, and uh, and of course, like I said, yesterday I did the thing for Vice TV.
Mhm.
I did the interview with Vice TV, and I'm scheduled to do the Karate Kids of Atlanta TV show filming. That should start in November, likely. And then I'm scheduled next month to do the WWE A&E channel has a memorabilia show where they go and look for pro wrestling memorabilia. And I happen to have Andre the Giant, only mask he wore as Giant Machine, and I have
Wow.
that mask, and they want to come and buy it, and they're gonna bring a big show. He's gonna show up on my front door and try to buy that mask from me.
wow. That is
Kind of like
awesome.
a Pawn Star thing,
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so
awesome.
so
that's cool.
I'm busy doing that, and I do some television in Japan, and it just I mean, it's unfortunate because I wish this COVID thing, like other people, like a lot of people, if it wasn't for that, I would have a lot more stuff going on. But at least I'm still working, right? I mean, usually just being able, technology, I can work at home just like I'm doing
Right.
interviews right here.
Hmm. It's very awesome to hear you say that. Like just talking about the content, and then you mentioned the memorabilia, and for you to talk about Andre the Giant, that was huge because before he passed away, like that was my favorite wrestler. And then after that happened, I always had a toss up between him and Ultimate Warrior. Those were my top two.
Yeah,
So, for Ultimate Warrior to pass away, not too long ago, that was kind of hard to see too as well. But to hear that you have that, like that's just blowing my mind right now. I gotta tell you, that's awesome.
yeah. I mean,
I
I can show you.
actually wanted to know
Yeah.
this.
No,
I was
go
gonna say
ahead.
I actually know about. I saw you had a picture of a mask collection that you have. How
Yeah.
did that come about?
Well, actually, a lot of the
How did you
masks I'm
start
looking at.
acquiring those?
Well, like Patriot. I have Patriot mask. I have Rey Mysterio, Spider-Man, mask when he first came into WCW. I have that. A lot of these masks, because this, Ultimate Dragon will wrestle Rey Mysterio, and when they got done with the match, I go, hey, I said, so when you get done with the mask, I said, I'd like to have it, and they would just give it to me. So
Wow.
these all ring
What?
worn masks to my right. I have Jushin Thunder Liger. I have Psychosis. I have
That is sick.
Patriot. I went to Japan last year and met Sayama-san, which is the original Tiger Mask,
Mm-hmm.
and he signed a mask for me, and I got his mask. That's part of the mask. Um,
Mm.
yeah,
Wow.
and uh, Jushin Thunder Liger, I got his mask. I mean, after the match, they said, "Here you go." They just gave it to me, so I have those from those days.
Man, I just to get a hold of Dragon's mask would be awesome. Like,
Right.
cause him, I can remember like vividly watching you bring over the Japanese wrestlers, starting with, I could be wrong on this, but I remember seeing you with Tokyo Magnum
Yeah, I
first.
got Tokyo Magnum mask right over there.
There you go. I remember seeing you with him first, and I was like, all right, okay, who's this guy? And then you brought over Liger, then you brought over Dragon. I'm just like, yo, this dude legit. They better be careful. He bring over some heavyweights. It's a wrap.
Yeah. So look, I'm fortunate. I mean, Masa Saito made that possible for us. Legendary Masa Saito, who passed away, and his wife Michi Saito. I speak with her about a once every couple of weeks. We stay in touch. And it's a great time, and I'm just so blessed that I got to experience it and be able to make a lot of money doing it. Um,
Right.
but money was a secondary. I mean, it was like I get paid to do this. You know, I mean, literally, right? I mean, it's really
Yeah.
ridiculous. When I look back
But
now,
you
I go, golly.
yeah, who would anybody would kill for a position like that, to be honest. Like, just
Right.
Yeah,
call it what it is. You get to see the best wrestlers in the world every night. And at that time, WCW really did have the best wrestlers in the world because you guys were branching out to Japan, to Germany,
yeah,
Australia, and
yeah,
it was like, as big of fans as we were of wrestling, we knew, well, the ones that actually pay attention to what's going on, we
Right.
knew that WWE was not keeping up because, they tried their hand at the light heavyweight division slash cruiserweight division. Taka, we love Taka,
yeah,
but if it wasn't for Taka, that division wouldn't have made it as far as it did. But then when you see Rey Mysterio and Dragon going at it on WCW, when you flip the channel, it's a totally different scenario. It's like, man,
Mhm.
WWE need to step their game up.
yeah.
Right.
I mean, I think way we thought about things, way the approach was a little different. They were trying to do what we were doing, you know, where we just said, hey, we got, of course, Nitro, became 2 hours, then 3 hours. So we needed more talent, you know.
Hmm.
And listen, you can love a porterhouse all you want, but you 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 can't give people porterhouse every day. After a while, they're gonna
Right.
get sick of it.
True.
And what the credit to a production team and Eric Bischoff, we gave him varieties, right? You know, you got that matches. You just wanted to see the matches, no storyline, but they could go, The- you
Yeah.
know. But you still had the main event guys from Nash and Hall and Hogan and those bigger than life guys, So we had that as well. So I think that's what we did. And and you got to remember there, WWF at the time they were doing like, you know, that's when Attitude Era come in when they were doing some, little crazy stuff, you know. Remember Mr. Yamaguchi over on the other side? They were trying to do my
Yeah.
version of
Hmm.
and he's a great guy. I mean, he used to be the photographer actually for a Japanese magazine. And but when he wanted to choppy choppy pee pee was, I said, you want to go there with a samurai sword, but they were trying. I mean, it was funny for me,
Not choppy
That
choppy.
was hilarious. That was actually hilarious. I wish we could go back and overlay that. When I figure out how to figure this, like how to figure the rest of this stuff out, we're gonna overlay that just cause that
Got
was
to.
so funny. And
Yeah,
I think it would have went over better with you because you knew how to be a real manager, but just him expressing himself for real, it sounded like he was really mad. That just made it that much
right.
better.
No, look,
Um,
entertainment was we got to entertain. That look, it was the best of times.
And y'all did it on a different level too, because I gotta tell you, when it came to WCW, because real young, like okay, WWF and all that stuff. But when WCW came out, it was like, okay, this is fresh, it's new, so many ideas that we weren't seeing before, more high flying going on, stuff like that. And then seeing some of the big names come over was just like a bonus, you know.
Yeah.
And then at that time frame, like capitalizing on, you know, the video game, like the WCW Nitro game, like that. If I still had my PS1, I would still play that game today.
You know
what I
what?
mean? That's
I'm
how
gonna be
games
honest.
is.
I'm gonna tell you it was an amazing thing because you know they didn't really do a merchandise for us, you know, and for the Mexicans or Japanese they didn't really do it, you know, but when when we came out with when they came out with a video game, see we didn't even know I was in a video game. I'm gonna tell you a story. So one day I get a call. I'm on the road. My wife calls me and says, "Hey, I got your paycheck." I said, "Great, you know, go to bank and deposit it." About 10 minutes later, she calls me back and she says, "Hey, I said, what's the matter?" I says, well, I said, what's the matter, honey? She said, well, your check is $47,000. I go, $47,000. It's got my name on it. I said, she said, yeah, it's got your name on it. I said, well, there's somebody screwed that up at the office. I said, they gave me Macho Man's check or something, you know. So I called the office. I said, well, hang on, let me call the office. I called the office. And office called me back and said, "Hey, yeah, I said, that's your check." I said, "My check?" I mean, yeah, I'm gonna deposit it. Sure, I can deposit the thing. See, I said, "Hey, by the way, what's it for?" Because you know what I mean. I didn't want to take it, and they called me back 2 days later and said, "Hey, give me my money back." You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, I didn't want to get my hopes up. So and said no. I said, what's it for? And he says, it's licensing. I said, I don't have anything licensing. I didn't have a T-shirt or dolls or anything. No, it's for the video game from THQ. I go, THQ.
Wow.
Well, first it's a THQ, and I go, what the hell's THQ? So it's your video game, and I go, video game. I said, I didn't even know I was even in there. Yeah, you were like, I was like a hidden character. You have to win, like so
Yeah,
many
you were.
things, and then
Yeah,
I
there
came
you
out.
was.
So I go,
That will.
yeah, I said I went to I called the licensing department. I said, can you put me in every damn game you can find? Put me in every game because every 3 months, man, they give us a check, and I'm going, holy bucket.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was insane.
I'm gonna be honest. We didn't beat the game. We just put the code in. It was
Yeah,
easier.
we had to put that code in, man. Because I wasn't trying to look. I was getting whooped up on that game. I had to like figure
Yeah,
out a way to get around that. And you buy a big old book that had all the codes in it, for, like
yeah, cheat
the big
code.
head. Yeah, them
Yeah.
cheat codes for the big head people
And,
and the little
and
outfits.
for
Yeah,
you kids watching, for you young
man.
kids watching, you would never understand how so much easier life was because of these cheat codes, especially in wrestling games.
Oh my god.
Especially in the wrestling
Especially
games.
right,
Yeah,
like this is when the memory card first came out. Like that was
Right.
epic. You know what I mean? To even
Because
be
we
able to
had to
save your
leave.
game.
Man, we had to leave the game on just to remember where we were because we didn't have a memory
Yeah.
card.
you
Game be
know,
all hot, dodging like getting a house fire because your game been running all night.
you know what's messed up right now? I had a
Like,
guy sent me on a new was it 2K WWF WWE 2K whatever game,
mhm.
people can actually make you. So somebody sent me, and I'll send you guys a video. Somebody
Oh, I gotta
sent me
see
a
this.
video of me. They made me right in this machine, and announced my name. I'm walking up the ring, having a match with somebody, or my avatar, somebody made, and look like me. They say it's me, but I get no dinero whatsoever. I get no licensing.
Oh
I'm just like,
man.
man. I said
And
that's
it's
not
crazy
right.
because they've done that with a few games in the line lately where they've made Jushin Liger, they've made Great Muda, they've
Yeah,
made Hayabusa, rest his
yeah,
soul,
and
and it's
nobody's getting
like,
paid.
man, right? I'm like, man, I'm like, you better hope Muda don't catch wind of this because if he show up to your house in the face paint, you might have a problem.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, it's such a gray area, but nobody has sued the company. So until that happens, because it's going to take a lot of money to do that. You know what I mean?
That's true too.
You know.
Right.
But
Yeah.
somebody will. When it does, I hope I'm around so I can collect that check.
Speaking of games, because it's funny, like I've been playing a whole bunch of like WWE champions on the phone. I've been telling Mel about this as well too. And I told the guys that I'm in the faction with, I would shout them out. So shout out to Bullet Club Alpha. Want to put y'all out there. You know what I mean? And I hope you are watching because we're having a great time with Sonny Onoo here, and we're just so blessed to have him on. So I had to give him a shout out. I had to say something. So I'm sorry. Slide it in there real quick.
Hey man, it's cool because you know what? Like, just to know, like we told Christine, we told Hakeem, we told Eric Betts, we never thought it would get this far. Like, we never thought, and we started out as just an audio only show.
True.
And we went through the trials and tribulations like everybody did. And we never thought we would be speaking with you guys. Like, we would always talk about how cool it would be to just pick you guys' brain, have a conversation with y'all. But like, to see and actually talk to y'all about life and you guys' careers, total blessing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for having me. I sure appreciate it. Look what I just found.
Oh man,
This is likely from back in the days. So this.
Wolfpack.
Don't your brothers wear this caps? That's for your brothers.
I got hair now, so I don't even get a chance to wear stuff like that.
Well, see me, I'm like
afro.
thinning out, so I don't. That's not my thing anymore. It gets certain height, I gotta cut it off, cause I'm like George Jefferson if I don't. So I gotta trim mine down. But that is, man, I will wear that.
I want to see the mask. I want to see the mask collection because that's what like.
Yeah.
Your trophy room must be awesome.
Well, back in the day, we were talking about martial arts. I had I think I have over 1,400 trophies, and so and you remember back in the days and mid 70s and 80, every tournament wanted to like outdo each other. So everybody had a 6-foot trophy, right? You win your division, they give you a 6-foot trophy. They were kind of they weren't too solid, but they were. But yeah, I mean, after a while, one of the arm would come off and. So I chucked them all. I had to throw them all away, but I kept all the labels. So I got a box full of like 1,400 labels of trophies. I have a couple of trophies I still keep is a couple Warrior Cup, the AKA Warrior Cup, the big thing that they give you. I have that upstairs in my office. I have few silver, real nice stuff. Real not the big tall stuff I didn't want to keep, so they just take up too much room. But I have a few nice marble ones I got from Germany and Austria and U.S. Open. I'm telling you, man, you guys messed up. Back in the days, this guy named by Tig Kresge used to started the U.S. Open. This is before your time, and he sold that to the guy who runs it now, Sawyer's, and one of the last tournament he had, he thought that the world was coming to an end, so he sold the tournament, and we used to go down there and yeah, this is in my 20s, so I'm telling you, man, it was the best of time because when you're 20 some years old and you're traveling and you're seeing peoples and, I love North Carolina on the Tobacco Road. We used to go down and go to karate tournament, hook up with all them college students. Oh my God. I thought I was never going to come home.
Did you get a taste of some of that barbecue while you were down there too?
Oh yeah, man. But trust me, I tasted everything when I was down there. Barbecue was only just one of them.
I can only imagine.
I can too, man.
That's cool.
I don't know how much of pro wrestling you watch now, like watch on TV, but if there was anybody from today's generation that you would want to manage, who would it be?
That's a great question.
Like I said, I think what makes sense, and we mentioned this earlier, like somebody like Nakamura, right? They try to give him a manager, and now he's tag team partner. And when Oscar had a manager, I'm trying to think of her name, but uh, here. Look, pro wrestling is a storyline driven. It's suspended reality. For you, the fan, have to make sense, and they go, oh, A and C makes sense. That's why there's a C, right? So when you got English speaking manager managing non speaking, say, Japanese wrestlers, and this manager don't speak Japanese, how's that work? It don't make sense.
It
How
don't.
am I gonna tell my wrestler in the ring, advise him if I can't speak the language? Right? Like when I
Yeah,
was managing Japanese wrestling, I could say things in Japanese to help him out. That makes sense.
right.
When I cut a promo, I speak in English, but when I'm talking to my wrestler, I'm talking the native language, whatever that may be. So when they put those Japanese wrestler with non-native country speaking manager, don't it's hard to make sense. How can I help my let's say you're having a match
Hmm.
and Asuka's getting in trouble. If I can't speak Japanese, how can I help her out? Or how can I, or if I'm speaking in given direction in English, she don't understand English. How do I help them? So
Right.
just simple stuff like that. He has to. Yes, I understand it's suspended reality, but you have to make it so that it makes sense.
Yeah.
Right.
So
And
those are
that's
the
and
kind of
that's
things.
what
Yeah, because if you don't, then you're insulting their intelligence, the fancy intelligence.
True.
right.
You know,
And
so
that's what make you and Mr. Fuji such great managers. Because Mr.
absolutely.
Fuji, when he would manage the Orient Express,
Hmm.
uh, they had such an advantage. Even though they would lose certain matches, like they still had that advantage of being able to communicate. And I'm talking about the original Orient Express with Mr. Sato and Pat Tanaka, not Kato, because Kato wasn't Japanese. For those that
Right.
don't know, I just gave away a secret. But that's what
Yeah,
made
but
it so fun to
yeah,
watch them, and then that's what made it fun to watch you.
and because when I'm speaking to them, I'm really speaking to them. You know what I mean? I'm really because because the fan who also understands Japanese knew that I was really speaking Japanese.
Mhm.
So um, it made sense. Also made it much easier for us to create heat. You know, how many times when you arguing with somebody and they're speaking their native tongue, you go, "Hey man, speak English," right? Because you're in America. How many times you people say that? All those Karens out there. You know,
Yep.
Oh
you know,
man, that's
you-
great.
but you know, and one of the things that I used to say, I run into a real situation when people go, people compliment me and hey, your English is very good, you know, and I said thank you very much, and I wish more people who come to this country, would say, I wish more people who come to this country would learn to speak English. You live in America, speak freaking English, right? I mean, you heard that thing. And
Hmm.
I always correct them and I said, hey, you have to understand the people who speak to you in accent in English with heavy accent, that means they're a lot smarter than you. And they go, well, what do you mean? And I said, well, because they speak two languages. How many languages do you speak? Right.
Mhm.
And
Hmm.
they kind of put them in their place. And the problem is America in general. I mean, I'm really general. A lot of people who gets mad like that. Those Karens that are out there, is that this is not a center of the universe. You know what I mean?
True.
You know, it's and I'm going to give you a little example. I taken a trip and went to Thailand with a group of people, and we went to Baskin Robbins ice cream place. We're in Thailand. Okay, what do you think they speak over there? tie, right?
Right.
So she goes in, this lady that was with us, and she's educated, but she was trying to order some ice cream. And the lady behind the counter, we're in Thailand. She's trying to accommodate, so she's trying to speak English to her, right? And miscommunication, how many scoop or whatever, right? And this American person that was with me got mad. She started saying, Jesus, and I said, hey, you in their freaking country. She's trying to accommodate you by speaking English. I said, God, you know how arrogant you sound? You know what I mean? I said, come on, man. I said, if you had a half a, and this person was an educated person. I said, you should try to figure out, get your book out and try to speak some Thai.
Right.
But
Right.
That's the term ugly American comes from, right? A lot of American who travels overseas expect everybody else to speak English.
And it don't work that way.
No,
It doesn't,
man.
not at all.
Yeah. But that's a little bit of wrong mentality. You know what I mean? Yes, this is one of the most powerful country in the world. Love this country. But uh, because of what we're doing right now, like use of the computers and internet, world is much smaller place. We know what's going on in Russia right now. We know what events happening in Japan. Thai boxing shows happening right now. And you gotta think worldly. You gotta think and listen. When you go to their country, you're the guest.
Right.
And you gotta act accordingly. But anyway,
That's great. That's a great lesson. That's a very great lesson.
so what else you got for me? Oh,
Okay, you know what? You could be part of this conversation since you brought it up. Ronnie, we got some football to talk about.
Oh man,
No, nothing. Well, you actually brought this up to me.
I know.
Atlanta blows the lead. Atlanta blows the lead and loses to Dallas 40-39.
I just heard the Alana blows.
I didn't
That's
even
all I
watch this
heard.
game because I was.
I didn't know what segment we were going here. I didn't know this was
Oh
that kind of
man,
talk. I didn't know this was that kind of talk show.
Oh no, not at all.
I didn't need to know your sexual
it's
orientation.
not even
brother.
close.
Oh,
No, I
man.
don't need to know your
No,
sexual
it ain't me.
orientation. You're okay.
It's not me. Believe it, it's not me.
Okay, all right.
Oh man.
But Dallas beats Atlanta 40-39. What happened that? So, what did you see that just made the game turn in Dallas's favor?
I know for me, when I was trying to, figure out how in the world they came back, because when I texted you that, first of all, it was 29-10. So I'm thinking, okay, they're up 29-10. Matt Ryan actually looks unstoppable right now. I'm like, okay, I'm not even gonna watch this game anymore. It's pretty much over with, right? And me following that and then seeing the guys that, were starting on the opposite team for like fantasy football or whatever else, I'm thinking to myself, okay, not much is gonna happen. You know what I mean, with this game. Looking at both defenses, I'm like, it could be a shootout, who knows, whatever. But from the looks of it, it seemed as though they just put together a really good drive. The last like 6 minutes of the game, they pretty much scored all those points. Out of nowhere, they had a onside kick that they recovered, and then they ended up scoring off of that too as well. And it just looked like a completely different team in the second half. I know for me personally, I want to know, what did they actually say at the half? Like, what was that speech even like? I mean, I want to know who was saying what, because I'm trying to find more and more reports about, what went down in the locker room, if anything, what the coaches may have said, if it was like player driven, because apparently there was a similar situation, not this drastic, but even last week when the Redskins, beat the Eagles, they said like Dwayne Haskins had pulled everybody together and kind of gave him a little bit of pep talk or whatever. So I'm trying to find more information on that, and I don't know, man. I just sat there like, wow, here they go again, because we all know this isn't the first time they've blown like a lead like that. I mean, we saw the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? When they lost to the Patriots, like we thought that game was in the bag too.
Man,
and they want to start throwing the ball. I'm like, dude, and we talked about this too, right? How they just kept like going away from the game plan. Like you were running it down their throat in that game, and all of a sudden you want to start throwing the ball. I'm like, why are you doing that? That makes no sense.
Well, they didn't learn their lessons, right?
No,
clearly they did.
But listen, I'm gonna let you guys go. I'm gonna spend some more time over here with my puppies that is snoring down here. So
we appreciate you being on the show.
This is my Frenchie here. My friend.
Hey, there you go.
What's up, puppy?
Love me a bulldog.
Yeah, this is my French bulldog. I have a couple of these guys. I work for a rescue. So
really,
yeah. So if you want one of these guys, hit me up. I can find you one because they cost a lot of money if you go buy one at the
we know. I've seen the prices for those.
Yeah, they're like I got down here. I got down here another one of these guys that cost like $5,000 right here.
Wow,
it's a dog.
Yeah, it's a.
Oh, you're so
one.
cute.
It's
a cute dog.
Yeah, so say hi, say hello. Okay,
we appreciate you being on the show.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, guys.
You're welcome back anytime.
All right, you let me know.
We will.
But hey, keep an eye out for Karate Kids of Atlanta. All right, and tomorrow night on a Fight TV, download the Fight app and look at I think it's very inexpensive. I think it's only like $10 or $15 to watch a live pay-per-view live out of Korakuen Hall, right next to the Tokyo Dome Hotel.
Yeah.
And Tokyo Dome, period. I'll be doing the color commentary. It's about a 3-hour show. It's well worth the money, or have a couple of you wrestling friends chip in and get a Fight TV. But not for nothing. Get yourself Fight app on your thing, and you get to watch. I'm gonna put up my Fight app here. See, just push the Fight, and you get to watch. See it? All this stuff comes out.
Definitely watch.
Just like that.
Man, I'm getting that.
So so you guys, good seeing you guys. Thanks for having me.
Good seeing you.
You too. This has been good.
Yeah. And keep working on your football, your teams or whatever. Yay. I noticed, Bill, you have that thing like between your teeth. They're just like Stevie Ray. You guys not related?
No.
You guys
we actually tried to get Stevie Ray on the show as well.
He's a hard guy to He's a hard guy to deal with. He's good to me. We have a thing. But man, must be the heat.
We'll get it together.
He gets a little irritated real fast.
Hey, whatever it is, we'll figure it out. He actually reached out, so we'll get it together.
Yeah, I'll give him good word for you. I'll pass along the good word that you guys are good dude. I tell him your little brother Mill's looking for him.
All right, I'll go with that. We appreciate it.
All right,
Thank you
brother.
so much.
Peace.
You have a good night.
Take care. Thank you.
All right, folks. That was Sonny Onoo with life in martial arts in the wrestling business. That's awesome.
That was dope. That dude was a character, man. He had me rolling. I enjoyed that so much, man. Like just to hear from him, to see his life experience, to get that information from him, and then also just to see how down to earth he is, man.
Yeah, I didn't
how he
realize
just flows with it.
I didn't realize his sense of humor was like that. Like,
yeah, it's on point. Awesome. Like, yeah, because like for me, and just him talking about how he felt like if he was entertaining, he was doing his job. I thought that was like, okay, that's the Sonny Onoo on TV. You know what I mean? Like I kept thinking to myself, like, what version of him are we going to get talking with him? And he the real deal, man, through and through. like on camera, off camera, like it's the same, man. That's cool.
Right, right.
That was cool.
And that's the best part of it because, you know, you don't get to see that much anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And to see him be who he is in real life as he was on camera, you can't ask for nothing better with that.
Right, man. But let me say this real quick too, because I'm gonna jump off of the other game because I'm like that whole situation just blew my mind, even like thinking about how they came back. But the only other game I actually had that I wanted to kind of look into as we were setting up, I was checking out the overtime game between the Chiefs and the Chargers. Now we was talking
Going
about the
on?
Chargers
That
last
was a
week.
whole hour ago.
See, that's the thing. Like we was just talking about these dudes last week, and we knew like because they played against Cincinnati, maybe it wasn't like a good, way to kind of look at it and go, all right, are they for real? Are they not? Whatever. But the fact that you held the Chiefs down like that, I mean, they couldn't hang too much like in the air, but on the ground, man, they actually are stopping people on the ground. Because the thing is, like with them trying to run the ball, it just didn't work. Like Mahomes had to throw 47 times, right? And in this game, the Chiefs had to score 11 points in the fourth quarter, right? So you're like, okay, they had to all of a sudden just do all this stuff last minute, fourth quarter, whatever, to even tie it up to make this interesting. And then all of a sudden it goes to overtime and they end up winning by a field goal. And I'm thinking, okay, you got that happening. The fact that Tyrod Taylor's hurt and Justin Herbert stepped in there, right? Because we had a conversation about Herbert before he got drafted. And to see him do that against this team that just won a Super Bowl, right? I mean, what are your thoughts, man? Do you think it's like a fluke? It's like an early season type of thing because there was no preseason. Like,
You
is
know
this
what?
something that we could see going forward? Because I don't know. I don't know if Tyrod Taylor still has his job after this one.
But here's the thing.
What do you
First
think?
off, let's be clear about something. Tyrod Taylor is not a bad quarterback.
No,
Let's
he's
get
not.
that out the way. With that being said, um, I don't think it was a fluke, and here's why I don't think it was a fluke. I don't think it was a fluke because the AFC West is not a weak division. Granted, teams fall off every once in a while, the Chargers,
Right.
the Raiders, Denver, but that's not a weak division. And with your Super Bowl champion being in that division, you cannot afford to get ran over,
True.
especially come playoff time. So come playoff time, and let's just look at it like it is. There is no preseason. There was no preseason. Training camp was very, very short. Everybody got hurt
Super short.
today. Everybody
Yep.
got hurt today.
Yep.
So, you have to take advantage of the opportunities that are there. And yes, Tyrod Taylor was getting hurt today was a blow to the Chargers as far as the quarterback is concerned. But if you paid attention to last year, the Chargers weren't bad. Plagued by injuries. Uh, you had to see Kansas City twice
Mm-hmm.
and see the Raiders twice. And like I said, the Raiders aren't a bad team. Maybe bad ownership, but not a bad team. And Denver has their moments. Denver has not been good since Elway left. For real, for real. Let's just, they have that one good year. What did we say? They had that LSU syndrome. They had that one good year, then they fall off for like two
Yeah.
or three. So, it's not that this is a fluke. I think this is the Chargers trying to take advantage of a good situation instead of a
Mm-hmm.
bad situation, meaning they have the team to compete. I do see them being a playoff team, assuming uh, sleeper teams or the teams that we had said were gonna make it don't make it.
True.
So fluke, no. Somebody to watch, yes. Because if you look at the game, the Chargers were dominant. They didn't really just
They were.
you know they didn't just you know try to keep pace with the Chiefs. They were actually dominating the Chiefs, which
They
is
were.
something we hadn't seen since the Super Bowl, because San Fran was doing the same thing.
Yep.
Now, what happened, I think, was that uh, the Chiefs made better adjustments to what was going on in the game.
Oh
That's what
yeah.
I think happened. And I think round two is going to be a different story because now the Chargers know what they have to do. And I feel like now that they know this, it's going to be harder for the Chiefs. And again, like I said, Tyrod Taylor's not a bad quarterback. Has he lost his
Right.
job? I don't think so. But the Chiefs have to be weary now that there's not only one, but two good quarterbacks that the Chargers have that could possibly beat you next game. And I had already predicted this. I actually see the Chargers being second place. You know, I don't think the Raiders have enough defensively to keep up with San Diego or LA, whatever. And the Chiefs. Denver, after today's game against the Steelers, I don't see it. Uh, call it what it is. Those points that they got were kind of like slip ups by the Steelers because watch that game. Steelers beat on Denver. Like Melvin Gordon, you know, he was doing his thing, but once they made the adjustment, Melvin Gordon didn't really do a lot.
True.
And Drew Lock getting hurt, you know, their quarterback situation in Denver is not ideal. I'll say that.
Mm-hmm.
Denver's not a bad team, but that quarterback situation now leaves a lot to be desired. Um, watching what was left of that game, I noticed
Mm-hmm.
that uh, that Chiefs defense is not the same as it was before, and that could come back to hurt them. Not, I mean, playoff time it could come back to hurt them, but as far as you know, seeing seeing them be dominant like they were last year, I don't think it'll be the same as it was last year. I think they have a lot of problems.
I can see that too. And I was just excited to see, Herbert do so well because the talk that we had about like preseason, not having a chance to really go game speed against other teams, outside of the ones you're practicing with and things like that, those adjustments aren't there. That ability to be able to like, really test to see how you would do against like another NFL defense and all that isn't there. So to throw like, somebody in there in their first year to come in and do that, that was pretty dope. And then like the way he spread the ball, because he had six different receivers he threw it to. It looks like he went for 22 of 33 for 311 with a touchdown and interception, and he also had a touchdown that he ran in as well too. So it definitely was cool to see like, okay, we drafted this guy, we'll see what he can do, and for him to come in and take over like that for Tyrod Taylor in his absence, which is really really cool and really impressive. And like you said, that division is not a terrible division, but at the same time, like having a team like Kansas City be in there shows you that. And then also these guys got to see each other twice a year.
Yeah,
So that second game, like you said, once they know now, like, okay, we got to see them again. We know what adjustments that we had to make, the adjustments that they had to make. I mean, I guess for me, I feel like Kansas City probably will come out and try to throw the ball more because that's what they were most successful at. And then with the Chargers, I mean, they were decent on the ground too. They didn't have a bad time on the ground either. You know what I mean? I mean, they ran for what was it, almost 170 yards or something like that today against the Chiefs. So I mean, it wasn't like a bad game on the ground either. So the thing is, like, they got some adjustments they can make and actually put a really good game plan together, especially on the offensive side, and make things happen and get more points. Because ultimately, that's what hurt them was not getting more points. I mean, they only scored 20, but the defense kept them in it. So I'm looking forward to that next game, man. That's gonna be one to watch for sure.
yeah, it is, and I'm actually nervous for Kansas City because now that you've seen like San Diego ain't playing with you no more, and they tired of you beating
Hmm.
on them.
Tired of
You
it.
know, who's to say the Raiders ain't right behind them because the Raiders, believe it or not, they they are looking very well, and they host New Orleans tomorrow night in the new stadium.
Mm,
So,
that's gonna be
granted,
live.
granted, because we don't know, I didn't see if fans were going to be on there, going to be able to show up or not. But you open up for the Raiders. You open up on Monday night. You got a new stadium, and it's on primetime TV. You can't get no better than that, man.
It can't.
It's a hell of a way to break in your stadium. So when the Chiefs go to the Raiders, I'm really looking forward to seeing that, as well as the round two with the Chargers, because uh, it's gonna be a showdown, and it's gonna be a dogfight. I'm not gonna say Kansas City's not gonna win it, because offensively the Chiefs have way too much firepower, but
Mm-hmm.
going down those last 3-4 weeks of the season, it's gonna be a fight. It's gonna be a fight for second place, and it's gonna be a fight to try to see who's gonna dethrone uh, Kansas City, if it hasn't been done already by then.
And you know what? To have two different ends of the spectrum, and I want people to really pay attention to this too. Pay attention to what the Chargers do defensively this year. To have a team like Cincinnati be your first game, and then have to jump all the way over another end of the spectrum and play somebody like Kansas City week two, to be able to see how many points they held both teams to. Because you figured the Chiefs needed overtime to win this game. They only scored 23 points today. And then the Bengals only had 13 last week. So when you average that out, right, that's what, 36 points between the both of them, between two games. That's 18 points per game average that you're holding the team to. So if you can get more going on offense.
It's not even about the average. Look who you did it against. Like,
yeah,
the first two games, Joe Burrow has been lights out. Granted, he's taken a few hits. I mean, he's a young quarterback. It's a rookie thing. Like I wrote about this for CLE Sports Talk. Shout out to them. Uh, he looks like at this current moment, even though the team is going to be bad, he looks like he is in position to win with that team.
Oh, yeah.
And for however long he's got AJ Green, he's still got Joe Mixon. The defense isn't particularly terrible because a lot of people are hurt.
Yeah.
But if Joe can get more offensive weapons, I think it'll be easier for him as time goes on. So you held the Bengals 13 points. You held Kansas City 23 points. And last year, Kansas City was averaging 40 points a game, give or take.
Yes, they were.
So it's not about, to me, defensively, it's not about the points. It's about the impact that you're having. And the whole league just saw that you held Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes, who's arguably this generation's greatest passer already, just because of what he can do in the pocket.
Mm-hmm.
You held him and his offense to 23 points. You got to see him again. If you beat them next round, man, that's like giving up the secrets to the Russians.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's gonna be a game to watch, man. You know, in my opinion, when that game happens, that's gonna be the game of the week. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to be all about that game. Like, find out how I can watch it, where I can watch it. I'm hoping it's one of the ones that come on late and be like,
I think that.
oh, okay, cool. I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, I think that actually might be a primetime game next time, just because.
Yeah, that's true. And they'll be in Kansas City this time around when they play again. So,
right.
Yeah, that's gonna be good. Yeah.
Okay, quick update. Right now, game 2 of the Western Conference Finals. The Lakers are up 95-90 with 5:21 left in the fourth. Lakers lead the series 1-0. I know we ain't talking about basketball just yet, but it's kind of something I wanted to ask, so I'm gonna ask it now. Do you think the Nuggets really have a chance against LeBron and the Lakers after LeBron is snubbed for another, what was it, Defensive Player of the Year award?
MVP, man. You got an MVP snub. You know, I feel like from what I've seen so far, they definitely have shown they can hang with them. But as far as winning it, I do still feel like there's a chance that Denver could get a game. I see it maybe going 5 games, and that's about it. The thing is, though, there's a contribution factor as well. So, like, the Lakers because even with LeBron getting snubbed, I mean, Anthony Davis went off that first game. You know, without him doing that, I'm not sure if they win game one.
He ain't too far off from this game either. Looking at the
Yeah.
stat line, Davis has 21, LeBron has 26,
See,
Caldwell has.
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, man. That's the difference right there. Like Davis is in it. He's like, look, I'm in the playoffs, man. I got Brown on my team. You know what I mean? I got some other guys contributing. Like, this is it. This is it. I got to step it up. And it's always been about them two anyway when they brought him over there. They already knew that. Like, that's what they were trying to do.
And I did tell you if LeBron was gonna steal one, this would be the time to steal it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
I wholeheartedly meant that. If he was gonna steal one, and for those watching or those that are gonna watch later on, when you hear the term steal in sports, it's not always about stealing second or third. If you see an opportunity to possibly win a championship in a screwed up situation, you take it. The pandemic, it is what it is. We all screwed.
Mm-hmm.
In some way, shape, or form, we're all screwed. And in sports, everybody got screwed. Everybody had to wait. Everybody had to either sit out and then come back, or hurry up and get back into some type of shape in order to perform. So even though the NBA got this right with the bubble, I had already picked the Lakers to win the title, but now seeing the way things have played out where Houston screwed the pooch and Toronto's not in it anymore.
Yep.
LeBron has the best chance to steal this, and I don't see why he wouldn't. Honestly, I don't.
At this point, I mean, you figure because in the East you got what, Boston and Miami left, which I didn't see that scenario happen at all. So
Miami's not a bum team. Let's get it. Don't get it twisted now. Miami ain't a bum team. I just don't think there's anybody on Miami's team. I don't think anybody on Miami can keep up with LeBron. Yes, LeBron's been in the game for 20 years, but he ain't slowed down. He really hasn't.
no.
And now you got a young Anthony Davis. Dwight Howard is a presence, I'll say that.
Yeah.
And LeBron is. Here's the thing: it's no secret LeBron has always controlled the ball while he's on the court. But the way he's controlling it now is giving everybody else a chance to shine. It wasn't just about controlling the ball and then you get yours after he get his. LeBron is facilitating, passing the ball. He's directing traffic to make other people get involved, not to make sure they get a open look or something like that. He's making them get involved, and that was the thing that I found was to me better than Jordan. And again, everybody's got this debate where who's better, Jordan or LeBron, this, that, and the third. But you got to understand something. There's two different types of people in this world. As far as sports go, there's the ones that want to make the play, and those are the ones that want to be a part of greatness. LeBron wants to be part of greatness. He don't want to just make the play, and that was the part that made me look at LeBron it made me look at the LeBron and Jordan argument differently. LeBron's impact was Jordan and then some, and what I mean by that is LeBron evolved, and he had to. He had to basically grow up, and there's not anything bad. But when you're stuck in football, basketball, baseball, hockey, MLS, UFC, whatever, if you're cursed to inherit a bad team, you have to adjust. You have to grow up. You have to evolve because you're basically being depended on. Think about all those teams. LeBron got drafted in 2003, right? So think about all of those teams that he was cursed with up until that first playoff appearance back in 07. Well, that first finals appearance, rather, back in 07. You cannot tell me Jordan would have won with Larry Hughes,
Man,
Eric Snow,
man,
who am I missing? Danielle
true,
Marshall,
good.
Z. And Z wasn't a bad center. He was a finesse center. He didn't have the toughness of Shaq. Let's just call it what it
No,
is.
he didn't.
But he could shoot the ball. He could grab rebounds. He could block if he needed him to. So he was a finesse center. He wasn't a tough center. That's probably why he played so long.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
true.
so outside of Z, he didn't have anybody else up until Kyrie. Truthfully,
Yeah,
so he did what he had to do for him. And for those that are going to get mad and say, that was a sucker move. No, it wasn't a sucker move. If you're a player and you've been telling your owner, your general manager, get me people that I can play with or I'm gone, that's not a sucker move. Not telling him he didn't have to. He wasn't obligated. He wasn't. His contract
right.
was up. You know, so it was a matter of doing what was best for him. I think he did it. I don't always agree with how players do it, but if you're making a move to put you in a better position, not only financially, but with a better team, and that better team some happen to be Miami, so be it. He won. He won two. Then he came back and won another one. So he's got three. What else do you want?
True.
But that's just me. Uh, Now the score now is 100-92, 303 left in the fourth. So um, it's not looking good for the Nuggets, and I can't say I'm surprised.
Yeah, it's a wrap, man. It's definitely a wrap. I mean, you figure with these two teams and then like all the magic that's happened in the last couple of series and stuff like that, it was cool to see that happen. It was cool to see the Nuggets, battle back the way that they did the last series, but maybe they're tired from that too. I mean, you figure when you play a
that
7 game series, man,
that could be possible
ain't
too.
much rest in between.
Not a lot. Not a
So
lot.
there's that
But
factor as well, which, we'll see what happens. But I don't know. I'm kind of like maybe going back on my statement though. I mean, my thing is like, I just feel like for the sake of they're professionals, okay, I'm giving them a game. It could be a sweep. There could be a sweep. I'm not going to rule that out. I'm just saying for the sake of them all being NBA players and knowing they cross me up, like whatever, you know what I'm saying? There could be a game there where they win. Will it
I
happen? I
can't
don't know.
I
Maybe
can't say
not.
that. I can't say that I agree with that because one, uh, the Lakers are well rested for this series. It shows. They're 3 minutes away from being 2 games up. And on top of that, even before the pandemic, LeBron was playing lights out. And it hasn't stopped. It has not stopped. So if it hasn't stopped now, what makes you think it's going to stop any other time before he gets to the finals?
Oh, with
And
him,
now,
it won't stop for sure. No.
and with
Um,
added, and now with added motivation, being snubbed for MVP yet again, it's not looking good for the rest of the playoffs. Anybody in the rest of the playoffs.
yeah.
Now, I did want to talk to you about this because this came up in the CLE Sports Talk chat.
Hmm.
Um, as we all know, or for those that don't know, I do write for CLE Sports Talk as well as hanging with my homie Ronnie on the show. Unfortunately, I have the distinct honor of writing for the Browns, but they said something in there that was interesting, and that was, do you think the Browns have a good chance to win the next 2 games?
The
And the next
next
two
two
games
games.
are
Mm.
Washington football team.
The
I don't know why that.
Washington
I
football.
don't know
It,
why
it
that's so
sound.
funny.
I'm
I
gonna
don't know
start
why that's.
calling the Tiburon, man. I can't. I can't
I
do it. I'm gonna have to
why
call him
that's.
Tiburon or something.
But it's against Washington, and then Washington. Right after Washington comes to town, they go to Dallas, so they got to be in Jerry's world. Um,
Mm.
what do you think? Before I go into what I originally said in the chat, what do you think about the chances of them getting twofer on that
Honestly, I don't see it. I feel like they have a stronger chance of beating Washington than they do Dallas right now, especially the way this defense is playing. Oh my goodness. I mean, I get it. There's injuries or whatever, but at the end of the day, man, next guy up, you know, and then having to go up against like Amari Cooper and Gallup, and you got Zeke back there, man. It's just gonna make it real hard to defend those guys. Now, granted, their offensive line isn't the way it was like a few seasons ago because that line was nasty. But at the same time, um, I just don't see them winning that game at all. I feel like Dak's definitely evolved a little bit himself, making a lot more smarter decisions than he has in the past, things like that. Um, and I feel like Cooper is taken away a little bit because Gallup is out there, but having those guys and then with CeeDee Lamb too as well, if I'm not mistaken,
one?
that's just going to be hard to cover if you don't have all your people out there, man. I just don't see that happening. But yeah, with Washington football team, a little bit different. Kind of test Haskins a little bit, you know what I'm saying? As far as the rush though, because you got Chase Young out there starting, and like I said, I'm like a hater when it comes to Jedrick Willis. I don't know why, but I just don't think that was the move to get him. Um, and him going up against Chase Young, I don't know, because we had discussion about that how with a team like Alabama, when you're with them for that time frame, and then you have someone like Chase Young opposite you rushing against you or whatever to get to the quarterback, you haven't really had to see that on that level week in and week out every single week because the way your offense was set up, I'm not gonna say you weren't going up against people that could, be right there with you. But what I am saying though is you didn't have to worry about that because your quarterback was like getting that ball off his hand real quick or taking off with it, or they had some other people already set up to kind of get the ball real fast because Saban don't play that. You know what I'm saying? We're not holding on to the ball trying to figure out who we're going to throw to. That's not his game. It never will be their game that they run down there. So you got to really worry about that. You figure you take the blow initially and then you shut the guy off and the ball's gone. You know what I'm saying? But you're in a different league now. Now you gotta worry about that dude all game long. I wouldn't have to worry about blocking Chase Young all game. I'm cool, and you can't really afford to double team him all game either. You know what I'm saying? Like you open up some spots for some blitzes to come through. Like it's gonna be an interesting game plan to see how they tackle that. But I feel like they have a stronger chance still with doing that if the offense continues to click. If they click, if because I'm still not sold on Mayfield. So if they can keep clicking with like that, cool. Now the pieces are there. We've already talked about that. The pieces are there, right? Any other quarterback right now that is decent would love to have these pieces, but it's still this dude, man. It's just that's where I struggle with this type of question. So I'm like, it's still on him. It is still on him. At the end of the day, it is still on Mayfield. It is still on Mayfield. Sorry, it is.
You know,
You got a decent line now. It's still on him, man.
I
It's
agree
still
with
on
you
him.
on the Mayfield. I agree with you on the Mayfield thing, but I'm gonna disagree with you when you said they could get one. I think they could get both of them, and
Do
here's
you?
why. Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Here's why. It's no secret. Dak's out. Well, Dak went out today. We don't know any further than he was out for today's game a little bit. We don't know if
Oh, yeah,
nagging,
that's right.
we don't know if there's going to be a nagging injury, but what we do know is that the Browns got 10 days off, or got 9, 8, whatever it is now. 9 days off, 8 days off, 7 days off until they see Washington. Number one. Number two, that's 9 days to prepare. That's 9 days to practice with the offense. That's 9 days for defensive guys to heal up. It's a lot working in the Browns' favor right now, going into Washington. Thirdly, here's an interesting stat for you.
Okay.
Against against the NFC East, historically, the Browns are 105, 63, and 4 against the entire NFC East division. Washington still got a young quarterback. The
True.
offense is explosive, but it's also stagnant at times. The defense isn't where it should be either. Although Chase Young
Right.
and the secondary looks fantastic through these first couple of games, you still have to wonder, can they keep up? And as we saw in the Arizona game, it's not guaranteed.
No, that's true. Very true.
Not not to mention, throw this out there too. You said Dallas doesn't have the O line that they had a couple years ago. That's going to play into the Dallas game because who do you have on the defensive line and in the front seven that you'd have to worry about on Cleveland? You got Miles Garrett, Sione Takitaki has been uh, quiet. He's been quiet, but he has made
Hmm.
plays.
True.
Richardson came through. Uh, Richardson came through and got a sack on what was that? Joe Burrow last week. So that front seven is coming into form. The linebackers ain't too far behind them. The only thing that you're really waiting on with this defense is the secondary.
Man.
Granted, Denzel Ward can only play one side of the field, can't play
Exactly.
all of them. So when these DBs finally get in sync and they get healthy, I could see I could see Dallas falling, man. I could see them getting a twofer. So
You
don't be
know.
surprised. Don't
Mhm.
be surprised if you see them beat Washington. 'Cause Arizona held Washington to 15 points.
True.
Held them to 15 points. Now, with that being said, if if Cleveland can follow Arizona's game plan, put pressure on Dak, put pressure on what's that boy name out in Washington.
Haskins.
Uh, they can put pressure on Haskins, and granted, Haskins can run, but you got Miles Garrett with an 8 foot wingspan, so
Yeah.
his reach got to be 105.
Right.
And you got Richardson, who's a little bit faster than Garrett, believe it or not. If they close that pocket, and Washington's line ain't the greatest,
Hmm.
but if they get to him on multiple occasions, it's gonna get to Haskins because Haskins didn't see a lot of that in college, especially playing with Ohio State.
True.
You know, now you playing with the Washington football team, and you don't have the greatest line, and it's not guaranteed to give you the greatest line. Meanwhile, you got to go up against one of the highest paid, if not the highest paid pass rusher in the NFL. You're fresh blood to him. He's a shark in the water. Uh, Dak Dak don't run like he used to, and
That's true.
like I said, if you close these pockets on these QBs because they want to sit back and throw, they don't want to run. Just call
Right.
it what it is. If uh, if they get to them, it could be bad, and that could turn the game because it turned the game for the Browns against the Bengals. Yeah, Burrow he was slinging bullets, but at the same time, you still you still got to complete passes. And the biggest takeaway from this is if the Browns can get off the field on third down, it's going to spell trouble because now you're giving Baker more time to get in the rhythm.
Hmm.
You're giving more time to give Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb the ball. Uh, you've seen the type of game Odell had. You've seen the type of game Jarvis had. If you keep giving them the ball, bad things is going to happen. I wrote about it. If you keep the offense on the field, it's only bound to get better for them. I could
That's
see
true.
Dallas. I could see them beating Washington at home. I could see them beating Dallas on the road. If they can get, they probably will split one of the two, but I would not be surprised if they get both going into what game is that? I believe it's the I want to say it's the Pittsburgh game. Don't quote me
Oh,
on
for the
that.
one after Dallas.
Yeah, but with that being said, um,
Oh,
I
actually, it's the Colts.
okay. Well, going into that Colts game, you're gonna need a boost. You're gonna need some momentum, and I think if they get one or both, that could be big momentum for them. I mean, granted, it's Indianapolis, but you know, if you're Cleveland, you swinging for the fence on this one. You want to get both.
Definitely. And it's funny you mentioned that because like I had forgot that he did, get hurt, and we'll have to kind of wait and see what that looks like too. Because you figure if he's out and Andy Dalton's behind, bruh,
That changes everything.
that
Like I
changes everything. Because Dalton, nah, bruh, Dalton gonna have flashbacks. He gonna have flashbacks to the AFC North. Let me tell you,
and
he
they
get
already
behind the
know it.
center.
And they
They already
already
know what he
know
do. Yeah, that's Denzel Ward will have a field day with that dude. If that's the
it. And
case,
it's not like Miles Garrett don't know how to get to him.
that's true too.
All right, last topic that I wanted to talk to you about before we wrap it
Mm.
up. I sent it to you, Facebook, and this is the nominees for first year eligible Football Hall of Fame players. At the top of the list is Peyton. Well, I'm gonna just read the list off. Peyton, Calvin Johnson, Wes Welker, Roddy White, Heath Miller, Steven Jackson, DeBrickashaw Ferguson, Logan Mankin, my bad, Charles Tillman, Charles Woodson, Jerry Allen, Justin Tuck, Kevin Williams, and Gerard Mayo. That's the list. That's the top. That's the nominee list so far.
Man.
My question to you is, really quickly, who has the best chances to get in on the
Uh,
first year?
other than Peyton.
Outside of, we already know Peyton going in. There's no
All right,
secret.
cool. I'm like, cause I was like, let's just take him off. We ain't gonna discuss him because
And
he in.
we already
We
know.
know he in. We know
Yeah,
he in.
he in
But
by default.
no, no, he gonna get unanimous. That's a unanimous voting right there. Honestly, looking at this list, right? Oh, Michael Vick,
Vic,
is Vick on there too? Am I seeing that right?
I don't remember seeing him on there.
Vick, Justin Tuck.
No, that's just no. That's no. Vic's not on this one.
Okay, okay, my bad. But my thing is like, okay, I feel like they. Here's what I think. Here's what I think. I feel as though they are going to put Calvin Johnson in, and they're going to. Oh, this hurts to say this. I feel they're going to put Calvin Johnson in, and they're going to snub Charles Woodson.
I don't think so. I don't think so
You don't think they'll
because
snub him? I don't
I
think
don't.
Steven Jackson gets in first bid.
Him no, no.
You
I
know?
no. He was strong as a fucking ox. Yeah, but
Yeah, he was.
here's my top five that I think get in without question. Or at least top four. I'll give him four. Peyton gets in.
Hmm.
Alvin gets in. It's a toss up between Wes Welker and Heath Miller. And then I got Woodson.
Ooh. Okay. Yeah.
Heath Miller was a damn good tight end.
Oh yeah. I ain't gonna hate.
He was the last out of that generation with Gonzalez, uh,
True.
with Gonzalez, um, Gates, Shannon before he left. He was the last out of that generation to retire. So I'm not
Anti.
but not Todd Heap too. I forgot about Heap, but I won't say he's the last, but he was in that generation, so I think he gets in. I think
Mhm.
Calvin gets in because Calvin's impact, and this is what I keep preaching about what the criteria should look like for letting people in the Hall of Fame. What was your impact on the game?
Exactly.
There's no denying Calvin Johnson's impact. They named the man after the most evil fucking transformer ever. So once you name a person after that, his impact is undeniable. And the only person that stopped him was him. He
True.
retired. It wasn't like he got hurt. The game just wasn't fun to him no more. Getting hurt on a bad team. Yeah, you getting all these stats, but you want the ring. And you had a great quarterback in Stafford, but bad defenses, the Bobby Lane curse, dare I say. You know,
Mhm.
there's a lot that's going into that we probably will never know about unless he openly comes out and says something. But I think he gets in, and I think Woodson gets in. You look at Woodson's resume, man. That resume shits on a lot of people,
It
and
does.
it's not taken away from nobody else's accomplishments. But when you are starting in high school, you're Mr. Ohio in football. You are the only defensive player to win the Heisman Trophy
Ever.
ever. You win a Super Bowl and you come back to your team and still make an impact, you know, at two different positions, play corner and safety.
Mhm. True.
How can you deny that? You'd be stupid to not let him in. They probably will. But if we had a vote, Woodson gets in because that resume stacks up like nobody else's.
Now, here's what I want to jump in real quick because the reason why I said Vic, I went to the Hall of Fame website. So they have a listing there. And
Oh,
at the very bottom, they put Justin Tuck and Michael Vick on.
I did not see that. That picture I
So does
see
that
is
change it a
next.
little bit for you?
Yeah, it does. And if that's the five they go in right there. If that's the truth, and I'm not saying it's not. I didn't see that because the picture I sent you was from a couple of days ago. So
Hmm.
if he's on that list, that changes a lot because there's your top five right there. How can you
Yeah,
deny? And we're strictly talking football here. So
just
please
football,
don't
right?
please don't come at me with that. What he did, the dogs thing. If you really knew about it, he wasn't even there. His cousins ratted him out, but whatever. If you're talking football, Michael Vick took a Virginia Tech team that was laughed at in the Big East to
Oh
the
my goodness.
national championship and was beaten on Florida State. The only person that came back and showed his ass against Virginia Tech and Michael Vick was a man named Peter Ward. He gets to the
Mhm.
NFL. He's the fastest player on the field. He's the most unorthodox and most elusive quarterback outside of Randall Cunningham that has been seen in the last 30 years. He goes to jail, goes through all of that, comes back. He's the comeback player of the year. Not only is he the comeback player of the year, he makes it to multiple playoff appearances with
Mhm.
Pittsburgh and I want to say the Jets, or not. Can't remember off the top of my head, but here's a little stat that people forget about too. He was the only quarterback that came in the Lambeau Field and beat the Packers in the playoff game.
Yep. In the
So how
cold,
do you in the cold? It get
in
cold
the
in
tundra.
Wisconsin. Yeah, it
Yes.
get cold. Wisconsin close to Canada. It get cold. So how do you deny somebody whose impact he was? We gonna talk about this next week because I wanted. We don't have a lot of time, and I want to spend at
Yeah.
least a good 10 minutes on this. But
Yeah, we
he was
doing
the
that.
he was the most frustrating player in Madden history. So how do you deny that man?
Exactly. And on top of that, okay, the four different teams he played for, like I felt like he didn't really get to shine as much with the Jets. But when it came to like the Falcons, the Eagles, the Steelers, right? Impact definitely, 110%. I mean, that dude was killing it. It didn't really matter. When you saw him in the game, you're just like, all right, well,
Yeah, he didn't
are
lose
we
a
prepared
step.
for this? Didn't. Even after he broke his leg.
Right.
Dude broke his leg. You're the fastest player on the team, probably on the field that time frame. You broke your leg, came back, and
And was
still doing the
pressing on the
same thing. Same thing. And he was older. You was
yeah.
older. You was like, okay, now I'm gonna let this one go after I say this. Speed, when it comes to speed and athleticism, the only other player I can think of on this level, right, even at an older age, Daryl Green, dog. Daryl Green.
Yeah. Yeah.
Daryl
Because he
Green.
can still
I got a story for you. Right. This cat, because the thing is, like, he got heavily involved in ministry, which is good. Okay. So he's down in Tennessee, and he was still racing. I remember him hearing stories of him racing young athletes. This dude was like 42 years old, running against dudes that's like in high school, first, second year of college, whatever. They got their little tip top shape. They're like, oh, I've been working out, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And here come Daryl Green, still
smoking.
smoking. 40 something years old, smoking. Somebody half your age can't keep up with you, and you 42. Like, that's just on a
So
different level, man, athleticism. But I had to put that out there, man.
list and that changes to my top five. Woodson, Megatron,
Mm-hmm.
Peyton, um, and then we go to who was it? Keith Miller and Vic. You can't that generation of player was just nasty.
Yeah.
And don't forget this. If you leave Woodson out, you know, Woodson in '98 when he won the Heisman, guess who he beat to win the Heisman? Who
Peyton
was at the
Manning.
top of that list? Exactly.
Peyton Manning. Peyton
That
Manning at Tennessee.
yeah.
Peyton Manning. Beat him. He
And, and
beat out Peyton Manning for the Heisman. There you go. That says a
and for
lot.
all of that, y'all forget Peyton didn't win a national championship after he left. It was the
Sure
guy.
didn't.
It was T. Martin that won that national championship. Yeah,
T. Martin.
yeah, those were Peyton's teams. But after he left, he never got it done. He
He
never got it
didn't.
done.
And look at who he had too. Because remember, when Peyton was at Tennessee, Peerless Price was there with him,
Corey Corey Fleming,
and and a man by the name of Jamal Lewis.
Paul Lewis, that guy.
Jamal
I hated
Lewis.
him. I hated him when he got to the
I
Raiders,
I
man.
just had to put that out there because, hey man, running backs from that era, man, especially from that part of the country, dog. Let me tell you, having a guy like that behind center, yeah. I'm just saying, man, he could have got it done. He just
Yeah,
didn't.
he
He just
could.
didn't.
All right, folks, that is it for us tonight. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Join us next week. We got another surprise. Former Olympian Herb Perez will be joining us. Another WMAC master, yet martial artist, and yes, he was actually former Olympian. 92 with 92 Olympics gold medal Taekwondo. So just oh, uh, while y'all guys are watching for the month of October, be sure to catch us because we got a very special guest in the month of October. I'm not giving away nothing till it's time,
Nope.
but y'all gonna flip when you see it, when we make the post, make the announcement, y'all gonna flip because we flipped and we got him on. So for 4th and 15 with Mel and Smooth, I'm Mel, that's Smooth. Peace.